Hey, Shalom, Akim Shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to start off by giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, YAHAWASHI, Bahasham, Rachakurash. And double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught us this truth. A sincere Shalom to the hopeful elect Akim out there that's listening, learning, and or teaching. Shalom to you all. All right. This is John chapter 5 and verse 43. I am come in my Father's name, and ye receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him ye will receive. Right? So Yahawashi was talking to some of the wicked Israelites back then. Okay? Verse 44. How can ye believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that cometh from the Most High only? Right? Because a lot of them were in that spirit of pleasing men, making themselves look good. You see, verse 45, do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There is one that accuseth you, even Moses, in whom ye trust. Because a lot of them, I've been reading the book of John, chapters 1 through 10 is what we're reading now. And basically, Yahushua goes in and he calls out these wicked scribes, Pharisees, these different wicked Israelites who are, coming in that spirit of Esau, man. And Yahushua, puts them in their place, But, in the midst of them talking to each other, these wicked scribes and Pharisees and whatnot, they start talking about, we listen to Moses. We don't listen to you, right? Something along them lines. And they basically saying how they the children of Abraham, right? Trying to use the technicalities of the law, but they don't know. Yahushua knows way better than them, man. So Yahushua, silenced them many times, man. But, the point being, like it says here, Yahushua saying, Moses is the one who will accuse these very wicked Israelites at the time, man. They could say they believe and follow Moses only all they want, but Moses himself will accuse them, man. All right. Verse 46, for had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. That's right, man. The first 5 books of the Bible are written by Moses, man. And that's also known as the books of the law. Okay, which they swore up and down that they followed it, but they didn't really follow the law, man. They didn't really follow it like that, man, because they were only following it according to certain technicalities and, basically just to make themselves look good, man. They weren't really following it wholeheartedly. Okay, and the law talks about Yahawashi, man. All right, and that's what this video is about, man. I'm gonna give you a few different precepts and examples of Yahawashi in the books of the law. Okay, and also there's some more precepts in the Old Testament as well. Okay, so with that, we're gonna grab a few examples of this, a few examples of Yahawashi being spoken about in the books of Moses. Okay, and I'm gonna start with Genesis chapter 3 and verse 15. All right, and this one's not so obvious to those who may be new. Okay, but it's clear. All right, this is Genesis 3:15, or rather, we're gonna make it clear through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI. All right, so Genesis 3 and 15, it says, "And I will put enmity between thee and the woman." Right. So who's the Lord speaking to? He's speaking to the serpent, right? Which ultimately that's Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. All right, because the serpent in the garden was actually an Edomite back then before they had their name Edomites. Okay, if you could receive it, that's the reincarnation. Okay, so that serpent back then was actually an Edomite. Okay, which, at that time they had melanin in them. So this was back when the Lord, the nations were all just created. Like, this is the very beginning, man. This is before Esau lost his pigment. Okay, but yeah, it continues. "And I will put enmity between thee and the woman," right? The woman being Eve, who's ultimately an Israelite woman, "and between thy seed and her seed," right? Thy seed being the Edomites, and her seed, being the Israelites, it shall bruise thy head. Right? The Israelites will bruise the head of these Edomites. Okay, what does that mean? That means, like the scriptures say, the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom, right? So eventually, we basically going to take Esau down. But who does it start with? It starts with YAHAWASHI, man. YAHAWASHI is that great millstone in that Nebuchadnezzar statue vision. He's the great millstone that basically falls down onto the statue's feet, right, which represents these all these nations. But the feet represents this final beast rulership, right, which is NATO and the EU. Okay, so ultimately it's YAHAWASHI who's gonna bruise the head of Esau, man. Which that's representative of, when you bruise someone in the head, you basically taking them out. They dead, right? But watch this. It says, "And thou shalt bruise his heel," right? The Edomites have bruised our heels because they have us in captivity. They took us down, right? You could think about the ancient Roman Empire. You had 70 A.D. Okay, you had that time where the Edomites took us down, and then you have the time of the Greeks, right? And now this American empire, they got us in captivity. They whooping our ass. They throwing us in these concentration camps with this ICE situation. You see, so right now Esau has bruised our head, but YAHAWASHI is gonna bruise Esau's heel. YAHAWASHI is gonna be the one who returns and takes down this wicked ass Edomite empire that rules the whole earth in wickedness. Like the scriptures say, the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. Okay, so we're going to grab a precept on this to make it more clear. Okay, notice how it says, "It shall bruise thy head." So speaking about YAHAWASHI. All right, let's go to Psalms 110 and verse 5. "The Lord at thy right hand," right? Who's the Lord at Yahweh's right hand? YAHAWASHI. "Shall strike through kings in the day of his wrath." Right? So when YAHAWASHI returns, he's going to kill all these kings, all these rulers in power, man, or the majority of them. Because we do know the scriptures say some of them will survive in order to be what? The first slaves in the kingdom. Okay, but the point being, YAHAWASHI is coming back to destroy these top rulers, man. These international banking families, these leaders in high positions of power. Okay? Because ultimately, hey, they're the most wicked of them all. They're the ones running this wicked ass society, right? All right, verse 6. "He shall judge among the heathen," right? Esau being the main heathen. "He shall fill the places with the dead bodies. He shall wound the what? The heads over many countries," man. So YAHAWASHI is going to take down these heads, all these top Edomites, man. And in doing so, what is he going to do? He's going to destroy this wicked order, this wicked world order, these wicked governments that rule the world. Starting with these the Edomites, okay, going all the way back to the garden, man. "It shall bruise thy head," man. So YAHAWASHI was mentioned here, if you got ears to hear, okay. But with that, we're gonna move to our second example. I got Genesis 49 and 10. It says the scepter, right? It's talking about leadership, right, or rulership, "shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh come," right? Because YAHAWASHI, this Shiloh right here is talking about YAHAWASHI. And YAHAWASHI comes from what tribe? The tribe of Judah. All right, which would be you so-called Negroes. All right.
Psalms 8, 78, 86, Shiloh.
We're going to get this word Shiloh. It says, "He whose it is, that which belongs to him, tranquility," right? Isn't YAHAWASHI called the Prince of Peace? Shiloh, an epithet of the Messiah, right? What's an epithet? Let's get it real quick. Epithet, definition. Okay. An adjective or descriptive phrase expressing a quality characteristic of the person or thing mentioned, right? So we know it's talking about YAHAWASHI just off that alone, but we're going to continue in the verse and we'll be able to see, the scriptures give more details. So let's go back. Okay, this is Genesis 49:10 again. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh come. Right? That's when Yahawashi returns. And unto him shall the gathering of the people be. You see? Because it's through Yahawashi that we're going to come back into our own land. Okay? It's not the way these 1948ers, these so-called JEWs over there, which are just so-called white people that have little hats on. Okay, the way they did it, that's not the way the scriptures say. Yahawashi is going to put us back in Israel by force. All right, through his magnificent power. Okay, because he's coming with the power of Yahweh, man. You know, Yahweh Bahashem Yahawashi is going to take over this earth. Okay, but continuing to verse 11, binding his foal into the vine and his ass's colt unto the choice vine, he washed his garments in wine and his clothes in the blood of grapes. Okay, because you can think about that one precept. If I could grab it real quick, who is this that cometh from Bozrah, if I'm not mistaken? Bear with me. I think it's in Isaiah. Isaiah 63 and verse 1. Who is this that cometh from Edom, right? These Edomites are these so-called white people with dyed garments. Oh, the Lord's garments are dyed. I wonder what color it is. It says, with dyed garments from Bozrah, this that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength, I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. So Yahawashi is coming from Edom. All right. It says, verse 2, wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth the wine fat. You see, wine fat is going into like when you bust up them grapes. Okay, because Yahawashi's clothes is red from busting up the grapes, which represents these Edomites, man. Yahawashi is coming to put them to death. All right, and it's going to be a bloody day. Verse 3, I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me, for I will tread them in my anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. The Lord Yahawashi is going to stain all his clothing, man. That's what we're seeing here. He washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk, man. Because you got the red eyes with wine. Salakia. Let's go to Revelation, and I know it says it in Revelation chapter 1. The revelation of Yahawashi, 14, I believe from there. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah. Revelation 1 and 14. His head and his hairs were white like wool, right? That's that woolly texture hair that so-called African Americans have. That's the same hair that Yahawashi, our Lord, had. Okay. And it was white. It was white hair, as white as snow. And his eyes were as a flame of fire, because he had red eyes, man. That's what it means. So we know it's talking about Yahawashi, man. Okay? His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. Right? He's teaching the scriptures. The Bible talks about desire the sincere milk of the word. Milk word. 2 Peter 2 and 2. As newborn babes desire the sincere milk of the word, that you may grow thereby. You know, because Yahawashi is the word. You know, John 1 and 1. Actually 14. John 1:14. And the word, right? The word of Yahweh was made flesh and dwelt among us. And we beheld his glory as the glory of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. You see? So Yahawashi is the word, man. All right? That's that, which these precepts all go together with that Genesis, man. So yeah, that's another example of Yahawashi mentioned in the books of Moses. So now we're gonna get a really clear example, Very easy to understand. All right. This is Deuteronomy 18 and 15. Yahweh thy power will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee. Right. So the Lord is speaking to Moses right now, telling him that he's going to raise up a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren. Right. So someone from the nation of Israel, like unto me. Right. So who's this prophet the Lord's going to raise up that's just like him? Right. It says, unto him you shall hearken, right? So we know that's talking about YAHAWASHI, man. No other man that walked the earth can we really say that is like Yahweh except for YAHAWASHI. YAHAWASHI is the only one. Okay? So right there. And this is a commandment because it's in the books of the law, man. So Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi said, hey, I'm going to raise up a prophet from among you, and he's going to be just like me. Okay, and you will listen to him. That's a commandment. You see? So that's part of the law, statutes, and commandments is to listen to the voice of YAHAWASHI, man. You see? Deuteronomy 18:16, according to all that thou desirest of Yahweh thy power, and Horeb in the day of the assembly, saying, let me not hear above, or Salakia, let me not hear again the voice of Yahweh my power, neither let me see this great fire anymore, that I die not. Right? The Israelites were scared, man, because they saw Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi come down in those chariots, man, and that was scary. Okay, they saw the great majesty and power of the Lord. Okay, so what did they desire? They desired a mediator, man, and that's why Moses, they told Moses, hey, you speak with the Lord and then you come tell us, roughly paraphrasing, something like that. Because basically, they were scared, man. So that's why Moses would go talk to the Lord alone, and then Moses would come down and tell the people what the Lord said. So what's happening now is YAHAWASHI is our mediator instead of Moses. Okay? So YAHAWASHI is that mediator. Okay, that's what that's going into. Verse 17, and Yahweh said unto me, they have spoken that which they, Salakia. Let me start over. And Yahweh said unto me, they have well spoken that which they have spoken. I will raise them up a prophet among their brethren, like unto thee, right, like Moses, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him, right? So the Lord's words are going to be in YAHAWASHI's mouth, you see? And I believe there was a precept. Well, let me grab this real quick. There's one that says, the words I speak, not my own, John 14:10, believest thou not that I am in the Father, and the Father in me? The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself, but the Father that dwelleth in me, who doeth the work. Right? And there's another one that says, the Father sent me. If I could find that one, that was the one I was looking for. Here we go. John 12:49, for I have not spoken of myself, but the Father which sent me, he gave me a commandment, what I should say and what I should speak. Right. Going back here to Deuteronomy 18:18, I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren like unto thee, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. You see? So just like the Israelites, they didn't listen to Moses in the wilderness, which really was the Lord speaking through Moses when he gave him the commandments. Okay? Hey, they got their punishment, man. Hey, the same thing for those of you who don't follow this commandment that says, what does it say? Okay? Deuteronomy 18:15, The Lord thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him you shall hearken, man. Hey, those who do not believe Yahawashi, what does it say will happen to them? Deuteronomy 18:19. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he, Yahawashi, shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. You see? So the Lord's going to punish you, man. You wicked 2/3 Israelites, you're going to get put to death on this side, man, because you didn't listen to Yahawashi. You see? You know? Yahawashi said to repent, have faith, okay? Be merciful, right? The weightier matters of the law. Because you got a lot of these Old Testament only or law only Israelites, you know, that talk about you know, how they only follow the laws. They don't believe in Yahawashi. You know, well, the law tells you to believe in Yahawashi. That's a law. So you can't be a law only Israelite. If you follow the law, you follow Yahawashi. You can't separate the two. All right. This is John 3:18. He that believeth on him, Yahawashi, is not condemned. But he that believeth not is condemned already. Yeah, man. We just read it. Because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of the Most High, Yahweh. You see? So it's a command. We got to believe in Yahweh B'Shem Yahawashi, man. All right? Yahawashi didn't come of his own, man. Yahawashi came because the Father sent him, man. You see? Salakia for that. Let's see where we at now. But yeah, man, I think that's it. That's pretty much it. Yep. So with that, I pray this lesson was edifying to the hopeful elect. I want to finish by giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham Rachakorash. Double honor to the elders and apostles, a great millstone that taught us this truth. A sincere shalom to the hopeful elect Akim out there listening, learning, and or teaching. Shalom. Wa. Abad Babal. Shalom.